The one thing you don't do 24 hours a day is have sex. And we give it a ton of attention. There's other things that we're really going to be focusing on more in our marriage. Hello, like finances, like his ability to work, your ability to work or stay at home with the children. Where are you going to live? How are we going to do life together? You know, are we going to be working? Or are we going to stay at home? And all these things. What are we going to do for fun? Believe it or not, you don't have sex 24 hours a day when you're married. You don't. So you skipped going to Argentina Tango today.
I skipped going to Tango. We both skipped going to
Tango.
I
was just tired and I wanted to get ready for Thanksgiving. But what was your thing?
I'm really sore from a half marathon yesterday. And then I thought about tangoing and I just didn't feel in the mood for a tango hug. Some days it feels good.
Tango
That sounds so wrong.
No, it is. Because
platonic
really
tango hugs. Yeah, it's very
really
close proximity.
Yeah.
Argentine tango, for those who don't know.
And
You
tango.
embrace your partner like this, and you're kind of cheek to cheek for like 8 minutes.
Wow.
In a platonic way, supposedly.
And that's the one that you did overseas in France.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I just wasn't feeling it because
my face always gets in the wrong way when I do Argentina. Like, I just remember one time my dance instructor, Dimitri, I was doing something, and he just goes, and I started laughing. Like, my feet, like, I don't know what to do with my, like, do I
Your
look
other
over
right.
Here? Do I look over here? Do I look up, down? What do I do?
Don't look down ever.
No, I know that. I know looking down.
Actually, in Argentine tango, you have no choice to look down. You're like, ribs, do you like exhale your ribs all sharp and
I just look out.
Oh, okay.
I don't even look down. I
good.
I don't
Good for
care.
you.
I'm just feeling the feet move and I'm like, okay.
You're just feeling the rhythm.
No, actually, I love Argentina tango because it is like a big old puzzle and you're like, there's no rush. It's definitely following their lead and there's no rush to get the right foot somewhere. You just kind of like, oh, he's boxed me in with his feet. What can I do? Oh, my leg goes up and it goes over.
I'm supposed to caress either my partner or myself.
You know, it just reminds me, you know what it reminds me of?
What?
Twister.
Oh my gosh.
It reminds me of Twister.
That really is the best description I've ever heard of Argentine tango.
It is. It's just like Twister because you're like, okay, I can't go here. I need to go over here.
But how do I get to here? Because there's the rules to get to here.
I'm not worried because the beat is so magnificent. You just can just make it look like you're pondering.
Well, and then there's the rules too because guys can then box you in, but then it's up to the woman as to how long you take to get out of their feet and to then choose if you want to caress their leg or not. There was one guy.
Well, sometimes you can't help it, but like if you're bringing your leg up, you can't help it. And I don't call it a caress.
A caress is when you're like gliding it down the thigh, or you're like kind of chook, 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 chook.
I'm a chooper. I am definitely a chooper.
I'm not a chooper.
You caress?
I know. I make the choo, choo, choop is still caressing the thigh. You can anchor their inner thigh. You can tap their thigh lightly, or you can opt out completely and make a circle on the ground or caress your own leg.
I like the circle. I do like drawing on the ground with my foot. That is so much fun.
I love drawing circles with my toes.
It's like you're doing. You feel like a protractor.
I feel like I'm friend zoning my partner every time.
No, but it's like you're a protractor. Remember back in the day, you put it down.
Geometry.
Yeah, geometry. It's just like woo, woo. I love that. I'm like, oh, I'm drawing on the floor.
Imagine learning geometry and saying, oh, it's just like Argentine tango. We're just gonna make an uchu and then caress
I'm
the graph
just gonna make a 180 here. That'll be it. Let me make a 45 and then I'll zoop it in.
I've told my Argentine tango teachers, all 5 of them I've had now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're all really different. I've told them that I'm gonna need a lot of help on my honeymoon someday because I feel like I'm the one person who just cannot get into the intimate part of Argentine tango because there is a really intimate part that, I mean, how some people describe it, it sounds like sex minus the sex.
Okay.
However, I'm not into that. Yeah. There's the other side of it though, where like, France reclaimed it back in the day. And it's just like a social, beautiful dance.
Oh no, I like it because it
move on.
I'm not into that, the having sex standing up with a,
Well, I mean, not literally, but there's a maybe sensual.
I mean, and when I
to
meant
the
that with a
tango.
complete stranger, like you would have to have a ring on the finger, right? But and that's just an aside. That's just an aside. But no, I love the rhythm and the music, and I love it when you're not worried about where you're going. That's what I like about the Argentina tango. You have no idea where it's going to end up.
Yeah, it's so precise, but there's a precision and unknowing.
It's just this unknown, and you're just following. But I love it when the music connects with the idea of movement, and it's just this moment where it's serendipitous. It's just lovely.
And it almost feels like, I don't want to say you're on autopilot, because that sounds like you're just numbed out to it, but almost where you are so close to the partner you're dancing with. Because I think the closed embrace for Argentine tango is like the closest it gets for dancing.
Yeah, really.
And it's not inappropriate. I mean, some people can maybe steer that direction, but it was funny because there was one girl in a class like a year ago who had a perfectly legitimate tango question, but everyone started laughing because in tango, like, there are rules. Like, it's up to the woman to decide how close you get to your partner. So if you opt out of the closed embrace, like, you don't speak this to your partner. But
in France.
Just all across the board. They're the rules of Argentine tango.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's up to the female as to how close. Like, if you go open embrace, where you have, like, space between you and your partner's bosom, or if you go for the full closed embrace. And so the man cannot pull you and force you closer.
Oh, wow.
And it's just
a gentleman.
It's completely an unspoken thing.
So it's a chivalrous kind of thing.
Yes, and it's also up to the woman as to whether or not she caresses the man's leg. And there was a girl who asked...
Okay, there's got to be a better term than caress. That's not it.
That is the term they use.
Are you serious?
I swear to you.
Okay, we have to change that now.
Okay, well, there was a girl, basically the rule is like, it's up to the female as to if she wants to, during certain cues, there's a pause where impulsively, as you learn the dance, this is the space where I can, either make a circle, a geometrical circle.
I'm a circle.
A platonic, I like platonic circles.
Yeah. Yes.
Or you can, slither up your partner's thigh. And a girl raised her hand in the class. And she said, "Do we need to request consent before we..." And the teacher just grinned.
So the guy's always on.
They said, "Well, when you go to tango, no, you do not ask for consent." It's like, it kind of comes with the Argentine tango.
Oh, wow.
Like, you do not ask guys going in, know ahead of time that there's no consent asked from the woman.
Well, and by the way, I shouldn't sham guys, because that...
No, you can.
But it's a very odd conversation to have, considering that it's another Moral Tea Emergency podcast meeting that we're having.
It is. Argentine tango in and of itself could be an entire podcast.
Yeah, but I think it really relates to the stuff that you're talking about. As you were talking, because you had told me a little bit about what we were going to ASAP on.
Oh, man.
And I was listening to that with the idea of, oh my gracious, how your topic parallels the Argentina tango.
It just dawned on me as we were talking, and our stream of consciousness just
so
exploded. Oh my gosh. All right, so today we're going to talk about sex.
Oh, wow.
There's a song.
Now that part you didn't tell me. No, that's not what you told me.
Well, it's in our conversation.
Yes, it is. But give a little more detail, because that's very broad spectrum.
My clickbait term, because we get the most clicks if there's anything regarding porn, sex, or, I don't know, toxic in the title. I don't do that to manipulate people, but with the algorithm, it's like you want people to hear the substance of what you have to say, but you have to be like clever with the titles.
But it's sad that that's clickbait. But
it is really sad. Yeah, that's where we are. All right.
So what are we talking about?
Okay, so a few weeks ago we talked about dating apps, right?
Yes, we did.
And so
which I fondly call sex apps.
You did call them sex apps.
I think that's all they're about.
They can. Well,
I know. But we've already got on that. Go look at that one.
I don't know though. After like my last couple experiences, maybe they are. Because I haven't had technically a success with one yet, Okay, well,
so
maybe.
Talk to us.
Okay, so I have had this reoccurring issue on Hinge, and not a technical issue.
Not a technical.
An anatomical. So it's interesting because, you know, you have all the profiles, you have everyone's pictures, their little bio, their religious beliefs. There's the option to show whether they're vaccinated or not.
Right.
Isn't that cute?
Yes.
But there have been several men who literally have in their bio, actually, I'm going to say multiple men on Hinge. I'm looking at all of you guys on Hinge. Actually, I sent one Hinge guy our podcast on dating apps. He asked if we had a podcast. And I was like, yeah, this is a good place to start.
That's so good.
It's so good.
Like you ought to send that out before you even...
You have to mandatory
watch this.
Watch this.
Can you like register that they've watched the whole thing?
Maybe.
Yeah, but you know, some people speed through the things.
They do. I can have like a lesson plan and have a quiz.
Yeah,
after.
that's right. Really. There'll be a course grade at the end.
Along with the Argentine tango. Graph paper. How do you caress a woman's leg? You don't. The woman caresses you.
And in fact, we don't even use the word caress.
We've banned caress.
Yeah, caress is not a word.
Moist and caress.
Yes.
Like
No.
So there are multiple men who like have in their bios this really good stuff, like look like quality men. They're looking for a quality woman. They'll have that they are Christian. They want a monogamous relationship. And they will specifically write in their own words that they are not into hookup culture, which I madly respect. That's like automatic green flags.
Right.
One guy didn't have social media on top of it. So I'm like, that is so hot. Hotter than washboard abs.
Yeah.
6 figures. 401k. But okay, my last couple experiences though, with the male specimen, and I want to say, I don't want to generalize and say this is like every single male.
A lot of good men.
Yeah, there are tons of good men. I know lots of shady, terrible women, and we can totally rat on them too. Yeah. But as a female, you know, on the dating scene who is into men, there is this phenomenon among Christian men, or a lot of them, who have these things they want in a relationship or marriage, but they're open to like having sexual intimacy in a committed relationship. And so I think we should, I don't know, maybe we should define that, because like there's levels of intimacy that's kind of, you know, a gray area for people. Some people,
sex is sex, you know what I mean?
Sex is sex.
Yeah.
But like physical intimacy, like, you know, the taboo question of like, can you kiss before you're married? I'm like, those are more personal decisions, right? But I know some people who are like crazy strict about it. Like, you like, don't touch whatsoever, you know?
Okay, wait. So they specifically say they're not into hook up culture.
Right, but they say in committed relationships.
Did they say it on the profile, or do you have to learn this?
This is as you get to know them, because I'm assuming by their profile. Okay, but
That's bait and switch.
The topic of sex is very taboo as is. And it's interesting to me because like what I found are all of these men, Christian and non-Christian, who are looking for women who have really strong values and qualities, and they have this like disgust at hookup culture. But I'm like, even though a committed relationship is different than just like a one-night stand with someone you don't know, you know, like I think there is a difference. It still kind of mimics the same thing. So like,
there's no commitment.
Right. And call me old school, but I recently told somebody. Well, apparently I am, because
well, yeah, I mean, you're old school.
Recently I was talking to somebody like who seemed pretty on board, you know, like morally, religiously speaking. But the things they were open to, even aside from sex, I mean, let's just say it openly, showering together. How would you rate?
So he was telling you how you rate that? Wait.
That felt good to get off my chest.
Okay. Okay. So after a number of, please, women are dying to know. I'm dying to know.
Oh.
Okay. So after a number of telephone calls or a number of minutes on a telephone call, there are checkpoints that you end up at as a
kind of like
just to kind of vet somebody.
Well, it's not even like we're interviewing each other. Like there have been some conversations that are just organic, authentic, and it naturally just goes there, which I'm really thankful for. Like, I actually like it when people are upfront about what their negotiables and non-negotiables are. But I had a conversation with someone, and I will say this. It was actually a good conversation. And
the shower guy?
Yeah.
It was. Okay.
Yes.
Henceforth known as the shower man.
The shower guy. He would love the Nicholas Sparks movie where like there's like lights in the shower and it's just like frivolous.
The one you saw with your parents.
It was so awkward.
Yeah, that is
17. My debut as an extra.
No wonder. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, nothing like shower sex.
Yeah.
No slip and fall and trip and fall insurance.
I mean,
on that.
when I remember you telling me it was a really, really excellent shower. It was a little big. It would have been a monster to clean. I mean,
well, this person told me they had a seat in their shower.
Okay.
For another person, but they were bothered by the fact that if we were to date, I wouldn't feel comfortable sleeping in the same bed with them.
Okay.
That's just like okay. And here's where we dissect a lot because there are so many people, Christian, non-Christian, which if you succumb to like no religious authority, it's kind of like, how do you form your morals? How do you form your, like, what makes good and what makes evil? But speaking from like a standpoint of, our beliefs.
Christian culture.
Yes.
Okay.
There's some things that are taboo, like, physical touch. I can see some different gray areas, but I'm like, sharing a bed, like, okay, what are your thoughts on this?
Well,
take the mic.
Okay, let's slow down here, there, partner. So how did he go about this? Did he, all of a sudden, it sounds like he was just unloading his fantasies on you, because that to me is not talking, like having that kind of information is not first meeting kind of, I mean, unless you're like, it's not the kind of conversation you have on a first meeting. Definitely no sex before marriage is. But him proceeding to tell you about his shower sex.
That's where it got really weird. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. That was just totally off. And at that point, there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go. And at that point, I would also, because I remember I was in college and this guy accidentally called, and this is back in the day before we had cell phones, and it was ringing the phone. And so he called. And I said, oh, you got the wrong number. And he goes, wait. So we just started talking. And I didn't think anything about it. And I said, oh, it was nice talking to you. Goodbye. He called several times.
Oh, no.
But at different times. And back in the day, I didn't realize it. I wonder how did I ever. But when the phone rang, you generally picked it up. Because it wasn't a mode of conversation. It was not the way people generally, but you knew it was something that needed to be done. So I picked it up. And it was him. It was the last time. And so we were just having a general conversation.
Who was this kind of guy?
I have no idea. I forget it.
This is a stranger.
This was in college.
Is this a telemarketer who just
No. He accidentally called the wrong number, and I guess he kept, back then
he liked your voice. He liked Renee.
Well, and so I thought it was neat conversations. We had great things. And then he proceeded to tell me his thoughts on that. And I said, whoa, dude. And then he started describing the way I looked, and I was like, bang, I'm putting the phone down because he was going somewhere else that he shouldn't go. And I mean, honestly, I at that
Wait. Where did he go? Where did he go?
No, he started just explain how he was really hoping I was a Swedish blonde girl.
Oh,
and so I just went, hey, dude, I'm done with you. It was really sad because we'd had really interesting conversation up until that time. However, with you, it just sounds like this was the first phone call and you went from 0 to 100.
Well, in one way and in one aspect, I actually appreciate knowing people's viewpoints, what they're comfortable with, what they're not.
Who tells you?
The shower thing is
who
a
tells
lot.
you what? I mean, seriously, who does that?
Yeah, it was a plot twist.
Do guys normally do that?
No, they don't, but I have heard many of their unraveled fantasies many times.
You have heard?
Without me asking, yes.
Okay, so this is a common thing for men to go on and tell you what their fantasies on are unhinged.
I wouldn't say it's common for men to unravel their fantasies, and this guy wasn't unraveling his quote fantasies, though now looking back in hindsight,
when he's telling you,
kind of feels like it, you know?
No. When he's telling you where he's imagining you all having sex, like, would you have sex here?
Well, and he eradicated even the sex portion, but my question was, sleeping in the same bed, I was like, how do you eliminate that? Like,
yeah, but like, he's not eradicating it when he said, would you take a shower together? There's one thing if you're in the shower together with a person. One thing I'm
wearing swimsuits.
I was about to say, you don't have your clothes on and you're in a shower. God. There was a reason. So there's no way to rescue this guy. He's totally going into fantasy material.
But it's an interesting.
That was my thought.
Okay, here's an interesting nuance in dating though, because like, you have the extreme of what people call purity culture, like don't wear spaghetti straps, don't do this because it makes a guy stumble, or men and women, like this is, even some things that people say are unbiblical that aren't technically in the Bible. Maybe they're like kind of a yellow flag, not a red flag, not a green light. You know, like the Bible is obviously very pro marriage, very against, adultery, fornication. But then when you get down to defining like what is fornication and like what can you do relationally, or in dating versus when you're married. But this is what it brings me to. The men who want, quote, committed, serious relationships, if you're that far and you're burning that much, why can't you what holds you back from just like putting a ring on it? Even if it's 3 months. I've known people who this has happened to. I'm like, why not commit? And that was kind of how I left. I'm like, that's nothing I wish to even think about exploring. And even in marriage, I think you can have some privacy boundaries.
Yeah, you can have privacy. But I do think, I guess we are talking about sex. When you're in a committed, married relationship, sex should be very, very enjoyable. You should have fun. You should be able.
Blush.
Like I know,
like
but
the
you
nun
should
that I am.
be able to enjoy it, and yes, showers, all that, whatever you want at that
bubble
point.
Baths.
That is, within
caressing their thigh.
All the Argentina tango you want. However, I think what I'm really disturbed. So are these people actual Christians?
Touche.
Because this is the problem. We watched some movie and they were, hey, we met on Christian Mingle. And I thought, I was thinking, this just happened. I think it was like last night, Lily and I were watching a movie and they mentioned Christian Mingle. And I was thinking, okay, but how, that's the problem. Do we know of men who are waiting? Do we know of
I
women
literally
who
just
are
asked
waiting?
my friend, I said, are there any men who do not have a high body count? Because here's the other flip side to this.
For that matter.
Right, and women too. I don't want to sound like it's just like an all-male issue, because I know plenty of women who also desire quality men, but literally depict themselves in person and online like a piece of deli meat. And I'm like, what you wear, how you present yourself, that communicates something about you. What you're posting, how you carry yourself, the way you flirt with people, married people sometimes too. That says a lot about you. Like that communicates something about you. So women are held to the same standard. But I'm only referring to men because I'm a woman, and I'm not like a serial dater. I mean, we discussed this in our previous episode about dating apps. But there was one guy who was telling me that one of his biggest issues is purity culture. And so I like for people to define that, because that can mean a lot of different things.
What does that mean?
Purity culture
I know what that is, but what is this issue?
What does it mean? Because see, like, when I was growing up, there was one extreme where it's like you have to wear leggings under your already floor-length dress, no makeup, no spaghetti straps. Like, you have to court instead of dating, where I'm like, I don't agree with that. There's a lot that I think is completely controlling and even maybe manipulative of other people, and presenting these ideas that actually were created from their own opinion, man-made opinions, versus like the Bible. But then you have the others.
Wait. Define courting versus dating.
Okay, so courting, at least as a former homeschooled PK, there were a lot in the like homeschool Christian world who had to court, which essentially is where you can only do things in groups, or literally you have to have like a chaperone. And I think that's completely dictative and unnecessary, because I think teenagers should learn that they have self-control, and rather than obsessing over have someone else, like, oh my God, like you might have sexual attraction, which is also natural and normal. It's just what you do with it and the situations you place yourself in. Like you can go to coffee and you don't have to be alone with your 16-year-old boyfriend in their bedroom. You see, you know? So courting is like group settings. You can't be alone together is essentially it. And it's like more family oriented.
I'm not opposed to that.
I am completely opposed to it.
Not being alone? I think
it's super important to
being in a public place.
Oh yeah, I think it's both. You know, I think it's important to have quality time with somebody one-on-one.
I love you, Anna Gray, but I don't know if you know hormones, but
also if you emphasize you're just a hormonal animal with no self-control, that's putting the thought in someone's head that like.
I know.
You know, it's like reinforcing this idea.
Yeah, but things do get carried away.
But how do you get to know someone very honestly, and especially when when you're getting to know each other on, and when I say intimate levels, I don't mean sexually speaking, but how do you honestly get to know somebody and like their struggles, the skeletons in their closet, when they're not comfortable sharing it with your whole family at the dinner table?
Oh, no. I'm not saying they could be in the house, a separate part of the house without mom and dad. They could go out on long walks.
Wait, are we talking about teenagers or just like all across the board for dating? Because I'm like imagine a grown 40-year-old like still having to go to mom and dad.
No, I don't think it, I guess there is an age difference.
Yeah.
But in the end, there are a lot of babies made on, the idea of, the thing is we just have to be careful.
I think we need to reemphasize manhood and womanhood, but like from a biblical standpoint, but I just see so much either taken out of context from the biblical standpoint, or you have the people who are like, yeah, I'm a Christian, and completely reject like, I don't want to say reject everything, but it's sort of see marriage as something that could maybe come later, but they just want to, it's like they have one foot in, one out. Like they kind of want to see if the grass is maybe greener and not fully commit. So you're engaged for like years and years and years, you know, and you have like 5 kids together.
If it's
going to work.
I mean, you were telling me that there's plenty of people that you know.
And there's plenty of women who don't want to commit either. Like I've known women who do not have that desire, like they do, but they don't. And so
they would sign in their hinge, they would say, I'm not into hookup culture, I'm into a committed relationship.
They would put actually that they were even seeking like a life partner, committed relationship. Yeah. So but literally in their bio, they say one said I'm looking for my future spouse and to grow a family, nurture a family together.
And never mention marriage one time.
In the actual conversations, right? So it's almost like marriage is the fantasy idea, but then the sacrifice, and this is what a friend said that I think is so compelling, is like there's value in waiting for things, and we live in a culture that wants things now. And I think we've put sex on such a pedestal too. And I told this guy, I'm like, because he asked me my sexual views. I've talked more about my sexual views and my lack of a sex life the more in the last 2 weeks than in a very long time. But they were asking legitimate questions. This wasn't a question like trying to coax me into anything. But one of them asked me like, oh, did you not have good experiences with your last partner? Or like, could I just ask like where you get, your morals from, or why you have these views?
And they say they're Christian? And they ask you where?
Which again, nuanced stuff, like how much is too much? How much is... I've been in relationships too where the guy put his arm around the couch and not me. So I'm like, that's kind of extreme, right?
Right.
So I just explained, I'm like, well, obviously it's my worldview, my moral compass, but I'm like, even like religion aside, because when I dated agnostic men, back when I was a serial missionary dater. And when I was like kind of deconstructing my own views too, I still had the same sexual viewpoints in the sexual arena because what I told this guy and the other is that I view levels of sexual intimacy as something that's very sacred and it's very bonding.
Yeah,
Because you
yes,
think
I
about
agree.
how close you get to someone
Totally.
just intellectually, emotionally,
Yes,
right?
yes.
You had sex to that. And it doesn't mean you're damaged goods. It doesn't mean that like, one guy described it as like, chewed up piece of bubble gum. Like you are still worthy of a healthy, thriving
Right.
marriage relationship, but it's sort of this question, this giant question mark of, okay, how do you view all of this now? Like, who are you now? Who are you becoming? And so I just was like super candid and honest that, that's something that I view, even religion aside, as sacred and bonding. I think that it leaves a lot of scars during breakups too. I think that makes them 10 times harder, even if you're not actively having sex with a partner, even if you're sexually intimate, that's like, I hate to use the word.
There's emotional.
Yeah.
attachments
And they
that
even
go on. Spiritual.
they agreed with me on that too. They're like, they do get very, very, emotionally attached.
Yeah.
And I told them, I said, it's kind of to me body stamping someone, as your spouse, like husband or wife.
Yeah.
But I think that though it doesn't make someone just damaged goods, it does leave a lot of scars. And so I don't know. It's like people want supposedly monogamy and a spouse, yet there's this weird, and the same thing with women, there's this weird like tension in that same breath of like marriage. So why do you think that is? Like, why is everyone wanting everything now? And they can't, because let me add, I told this person that I really don't desire to date for years and years. I'm like, I don't have a specific timeline, but I think if you're dating for years, unless there is a reasonable explanation as to why.
Yeah.
Like there's school,
you're
there's
at
something
the
financial.
material,
Or they live
military,
across and they
Yeah.
need, I don't know, like there's some sort of constraint that is clearly causing it. I don't think it takes that long. Number one, to get to know somebody. Two, to know kind of the direction you're heading, versus just kind of floating about in passivity.
The time thing is a really weird thing because
Yeah.
for some people it's very short, and for some people they want a little longer, but it is no indicator of success. I don't believe. The one thing, it's kind of sad because we in the Christian world are not doing much better on the statistics of divorce than, I think we're even sometimes higher than the average non-Christian. But I'm just trying to figure out, there's so many things behind this. One, how is the Hinge app and talking to these guys affecting you?
It's interesting and eye-opening because right now, so Hinge, you now have an option to pay to get more matches. I have zero desire, barely having anything in my feed is such relief because I'm like, this is like way too many guys that are out there. And I'm sure for guys too, it's way too many women. It's like, I don't think we were meant to be inundated. I don't know. I guess it depends on if you see it as something like there's some gems in the mine or want tons and tons of options.
Do you think any of these people on this have been genuinely genuine?
Yeah, I think so. There's a few good experiences where I don't think every mishap means someone's toxic or that this is blame shifting thing that it's all on them. Sometimes they don't have the spark for you. And it's like, sure, that might not be the easiest pill to swallow. Or maybe it is because it's mutual.
Yeah.
Because I've met some good guys.
Well, that's great.
On Hinge,
I'm glad that you know that.
Yeah.
In the end, have you asked one of these who said they're Christian that there might be, you might enjoy talking to? Like, why did you just, when you're talking about sex, shouldn't it be enough to say no sex before marriage and that's it?
Right. It's apparently not. It's very rigid that I don't want to share a bed even after, quote, a month of dating.
Okay. At this point.
Now, some people will be like, there's nothing wrong with that. And again, if there's no moral compass.
I'm glad you found it out early. But at the same time, and when I say, yes, if you were, for some reason you were in a hospital bed and he needed a hospital bed, we could think of all these things. There would be that, there's only one room left. Yes, put me in there. But at the same time, the fact that he's even asking, and he's a Christian, there's a moral disconnect that's not going on.
Yeah.
Either that or they're lying, or they think they're a Christian and they're not, or there's something about Christian women that turn them on. I have no idea.
They love nuns.
They love nuns.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but
I don't want to paint, okay, both of these guys were actually, I enjoyed the conversations with them. I don't want to paint it as though they were these perverts or, I don't know, toxic people, because it was amicable how things ended too. It was we have colliding worldviews, and the last guy brought up a good point too. He said, certain levels of rigidity with just physical, not sexual intimacy, can start to feel really platonic after so long. And I'm like, I agree, because I've been in a relationship where there was literally zero touch almost whatsoever, no hand holding. The arm wasn't around my shoulder, it's around the couch, where there's nothing, that's kind of extreme, right? There's nothing wrong with touch. There's nothing wrong with physical, emotional, even sexual attraction. We are
there.
Humans. Yeah. And I think that's where the church kind of, I don't want to say the church, that sounds so general, but oftentimes in youth groups and growing up, there's this idea that it's bad to be sexually attracted. But I think more so what would be a better approach is this is actually natural and normal, but that doesn't mean you just go from 0 to 100 and try everything you want. And I think there's a beauty in self-control. And that's what I told this guy, because he was shocked at,
it's a fruit of the Spirit. I mean, he should get self-control.
Right.
It's a fruit of the Spirit. But the problem I have with this is that he launches into the particulars of his particular, he could have said French maid outfit, or something like that. But what I'm saying is that's not appropriate. And really, in a relationship, a committed one where you're marrying, you don't want to have a frigid person. But at the same time, and you could talk around that, but you don't need to launch into what your fantasies are. And truly, if you trust somebody in your marriage, you all are going to have a great sex life.
I don't think you have to go from 0 to 100 in marriage either.
But if you trust somebody and they're treating you with love and you're treating them with respect, and there's honor and there's, just a relationship, why wouldn't you want to have just the time of your life?
And see, exactly what you just said is completely the point I was trying to drive home. Not trying to convince these guys otherwise, because it was kind of a point where I'm I'm not going to convince them of anything. And even if I did, I wouldn't go through, because it's you'd want them to change and evolve with their own, walk with God, not just you. Not that God can't use you as a vessel for that. Well, and nor do I see myself as this I'm holier than them and have all.
You don't need to go to missionary day.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But I also don't see myself as I'm, so much better and so much holier than thou. But the idea of honor and trust and exactly what you were saying, these fundamental, deeply rooted values over immediately going into all the physical stuff, because that, and I can say this from previous relationships in my early year 20s, that I can jade so much, so quickly, because like you said, hormones are kind of crazy and sexual attraction is real, and there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. However, there are so many situations you can end up in, and especially if they're not your forever person. But I'm what's the hang up with marriage in and of itself? Because
with men.
I should clarify too. I'm not looking to date someone in hopes of eloping 30 days later. But I think you can date, intentionally. Tink comes in
with her bone.
She's
her
the therapy bone.
Yeah.
Tink is the mutt who's unseen on the camera.
She's chewing her little antler.
She's this is making me nervous.
Yeah. She's I don't understand.
I'm in a gray area.
So
But I think you can intentionally date while also being aware of the fact and letting it be known that you're looking for a life partner. But it's funny because on these apps, that's
I wouldn't
what they
even
say,
use
but
these
then
words.
it's like,
I would stay with it from vernacular. Life partner. Stick it where the sun don't shine anymore.
ooh, so you don't like the word life partner?
No,
Oh.
it's called a husband or a wife, darling.
Okay, actually, wow.
Yeah, and
Say
I would
it.
just skip using.
Is life partner too ambiguous for you?
Yeah, no, it's a vernacular that plays into their games or
Committed,
their,
serious relationship.
yeah, like their culture, the culture that they're coming from. I'm making that very vague there, but that's exactly what it is.
It feels like an exclusive hookup, to be honest. Which hookup is like, I know can have different connotations. It means usually it's equated with the idea that like, you just met the person, you maybe know their name, maybe not. It's just a booty call, as they call it nowadays, the end. But I'm like, committed, serious relationship, that nothing screams committed, serious relationship.
No, it doesn't. It is committed. It's a hookup over a period of time.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
And then if it's not good or things get bad, one foot out, bye.
I would skip it. This is the deal. And Tissue does talk about this in a
Renee's
very
novel.
huge way. Yeah, and I'm not bringing in just for that. I'm just telling you, the deal is the reason you date is for one reason only. If you're a Christian, and that is to marry.
Yeah. And we are
I
speaking, I guess we should say, more to or specifically to Christian audience. Though you could argue the same things in a secular world, but it's like there's too much gray area in the
But I do think there's
compass.
secular people out there who they don't want someone who's a life partner. They actually want commitment in marriage.
But continue. You're on a good roll, and I'm interjecting.
And I think the thing is that we quit buying into the vernacular and we make it very, very clear. And that's the one thing I liked about my one Christian app that was Christian. It was Reddit for Christians. But was that you had the option of putting marriage-minded, which is even lame.
Marriage-minded. I might consider in the back of my head after dating you for 5 years.
That's even lame.
Being your baby daddy and then still considering.
It should be, well, we learned that there's nobody on there young enough to have babies anymore.
True.
But, except for you.
Men have endless sperm.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
I'm on a biological
I was talking about you. Everybody was we think the lowest age on that app was 45. And that was probably a lie. No, the idea is marriage-minded. No, you're in there for marriage. That's the only reason you date. If you're dating just to fill the time, or you're dating because you want a relationship, I mean, I believe as a Christian, you're just lying to yourself.
I think so too.
You're going to end up somewhere. And remember what they always talk about: goals. It's like you have to know where you want to go. You have to, and obviously, we let the Lord determine how we get there, or He gives us the choice to do that. But there is a stated goal. And He made it very, very clear, a man and a woman. And He didn't label it marriage then, but that's what it was. And so I think that the whole thing here, it's just a setup, because committed,
I'm kind of like, what does committed and serious even mean? Because that's just as ambiguous and vague to me as purity culture.
It is.
Like, what are we meaning here? Are you meaning? And
no, I would take purity culture over. I mean, I would want them to define it. I think the thing is, you work on definitions the whole time. You work on the words you use. If you plan on using this again, you simply say, if you don't see dating this date as many dates that will lead to marriage, then or could possibly, I don't even know how you say it.
Maybe possibly looking to see if we're kindred in our values and morals to where eventually we would become married after a period of time, and we're in a committed relationship to then.
Well, not even committed. No, I would not. I would say you won't even be in a committed relationship unless you plan on marrying, and then you still are not hopping in the sack with them.
How do you? Okay, here's an interesting question though, because like
cut them off.
There's so much nuance within how long you date versus how long you don't, because I'm okay with like a slow burn. And what I mean by that is not jumping into dating or like a first date with the idea of only seeing them through a lens, like wanting to get to know them as a person versus seeing them through just a resume and checklist. Yeah. Like that's kind of important too, though.
Right.
But there's some things that you get to know over time. So it's like, you don't want it to feel like this clinical just checklist. But then again, it's kind of like good to know these things up front. Yeah. But then you ask, okay, well, how long do you date before you're in a committed relationship? How do you not put pressure on something while also like letting it organically unfold, right? Because I think people know when there is not just, same worldview, but there's like also chemistry too, like being attracted to one another.
Screw the organic.
Oh, okay. So life partner and organic. We don't use those. Because Whole Foods would not love you.
Yeah, we don't need the Whole Foods dating app thing. The deal is you date with the idea that if we are dating and as we get to know each other, that we are moving forward to the idea of being married.
But what if you realize they're not marriage material?
Well, then you simply say, this is not working out. We bow out. And yes, your heart has taken a hit. But that's why you let God guard your heart. You have to, and that's very tricky for women because we're all in and all this. But the worst thing you want to do is overlook someone's faults or overlook your way of responding to somebody, and you don't like the way it is you're responding. Like you are, I'm giving in, or he didn't really mean those words, or why is he always the one who gets to pick the things, or why is he never picking the things? You don't want to give in to those things and simply say, it'll get better with time. So nothing does.
Okay, what would you say the timeline is? Like, how would you personally see, like, dating to marry somebody without going into it saying, hey, I'm looking to see, like, now if you're my future spouse?
I don't know if there's a time thing. I do think there's a point where everybody goes, this has been too long.
Yeah. I wonder if it's an age thing, too, because it's like there is an element, and I have a friend who's in a great marriage who said this, like, there is fun in dating. Like, I don't think it has to be seen as just this, like, strict, I need to see if you were my husband. I'm refraining from life partner. See, I'm being brainwashed, like, by the web.
Yes, you are. It is.
Wow. I didn't know life partner was out of your vocabulary.
Life partner. What is a life partner?
Husband, wife. It's just a different way.
Bushmiz, as you would say. I'm sorry.
So you think we should start saying husband, wife, and not this ambiguous life partner because we're scared to say the elephant in the room?
Yes.
Do you think that there's
like grow up? Yeah, I mean, seriously, grow up, and because that's really where you want to be.
How do we do this as say for my generation specifically, right? Because I was born in 96.
You strap on some gonads, guys.
What about girls
but you don't use them, and then you, as for women, maybe. You recognize, I think it went back to what we talked about, you're a daughter of the king. These guys should be respecting you.
And I think your boundaries too, like a friend with the shower situation. I was telling this to someone and like blushing as I said it. So like, wow, I sound like such a prude, and I think I may need a sex therapist.
No, wait, whoa.
No, I don't want to shower with the guy.
No. He should not have brought that up to you.
Well, that's exactly what I was about to say. My friend was saying that really the guy's
and you're sitting here taking it on yourself like I'm a prude. I'm a prude because I'm not going to talk about a shower.
This is why we sit here in the moral tea chairs.
Oh no!
Why my armpits with my non-antiperspirant deodorant are sweating.
Yeah,
because this is not just Hinge, but even guys who I have, I know you don't like the word organic, but who I have organically met outside of an app.
No, I don't mind it in that way.
Whole Foods and meeting people.
No, I'm just talking about when you let our relationship go organically.
It's too slow and passive.
Well, let's just say, maybe if you say Christian and he says Christian, maybe y'all could pray together and talk about what it is and let God lead you. And maybe God leads instead of making it organic. I think that, and I guess maybe what the dating scene needs is more God in it if you say Christian.
Yeah, like define what does that mean?
Yeah, like I'm serious at this point. It's like I would simply say, are you really a Christian? Are you really a Bible-believing Christian? That would be my first question.
Yeah.
Because, and then at the end of it, no, and you could go through those. What are your thoughts? And he can say thoughts on sex. Well, I want to shower with you, and da da da. There is nothing wrong showering with your husband.
Shower.
How
do you feel about bidets?
You may do the Nicholas Sparks. I never saw that movie with the shower scene.
The longest ride.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I will never.
With my 1 second debut
I would only
scene.
again. That there's nothing wrong with that in married life. It's just the fact that you are feeling bad. You're taking this upon yourself, and you're taking it and processing it and saying, well, I'm a prude or something. No, you're not a prude. You're actually a Christian, and you're not supposed to be talking about those things. There should be a boundary up there. Should you have sex? Should you talk about sex before you're having married? Yes, in a very I want to say platonic, but a very light manner. But the thing is, you should say, you'll know a lot about a person. You are right. Play is good. Like, you should play with the person one day you hope to wear his ring. You should play. You all should go out. You should giggle. You should do all that. Not giggle. We don't want to die giggling. But laugh and, do the things that you want to do. Run together, hike together, laugh. Oh, my goodness, watch movies and all that. Play. But you kind of get a feel for somebody. Like, if all they want to do is sit around and read, and look for G.H. Morrison
have a
quotes.
ball scratched every now and then.
No, I was saying G.H. Morrison, quotes, or if their idea of fun is highlighting a commentary, which I love commentaries. But that's your type. No, but that's what I meant is that if that's the only thing he wants to do, then you realize that he's a different kind of guy than you. You're more adventurous. You want to go out. You want to go do these things. You're going to learn a lot about somebody, even.
So you don't think you have to explore someone then with any sort of sexual intimacy before you can commit to them?
I don't think so.
Awesome.
I think you're going to. I think as a mature person, when they, and there's a great book that I will give you a copy of. I ordered a zillion of them. And these are the questions that you should ask each other. And the questions are in there about sex.
Wait, and dating that you should ask?
Yeah, and dating.
What kind of questions?
No, dating. It's dating to marry.
Okay, but what are some of the questions on sex?
You got to remember, the one thing you don't do 24 hours a day is have sex. And we give it a ton of attention. There's other things that we're really going to be focusing on more in our marriage. Like finances, like his ability to work, your ability to work or stay at home with the children. Where are you going to live? How are we going to do life together? Are we going to be working? Or are we going to stay at home? And all these things. What are we going to do for fun? Believe it or not, you don't have sex 24 hours a day when you're married. You don't.
Do you think that we've made the dating scene and marital scene both from a secular and spiritual standpoint? Do you think we focus too much on sex? Because I feel like in both realms we do too.
In the end, a man or a woman may divorce because of lack of sex, or he demands too much sex, she demands too much sex. It could be that. But there's also a ton of things behind that. There is the relationship. Are you dating your wife? Are you dating your husband? Are you all romancing each other?
So there's more story behind the lack of it. You're saying it's not so black and white. No, we're just not having sex.
Yeah, I think you need to look at all the marriages that you appreciate of the people that have gone before you. And you're surrounded by them. I'm surrounded by them. And see what is going right. What is it? And really, once you do have the ring on your finger, you are committed. You are in a committed relationship then. And that is when you are in a committed relationship. And you do not get out unless there's forms of abuse, or sexual sin in the sense of, infidelity and all that. But the deal is, that's how you move forward. And
So
you
committed
spend-
relationship to you is actually we're engaged, we're married, or is it we're literally married? That is the quote serious committed relationship that then gives the entry point for
because
the extra swag bag sexual goodies the company.
Well,
gets.
I think a committed relationship begins when you get a ring on your finger, but it happens before then. Because you're watching his character, he should be watching yours. He shouldn't just be watching your ass. Sorry. And I'm going to use the A word.
I like it. Renee, you were like on fire today.
No, because it is too much when you sit there and you start pulling yourself apart and you taking on the blame for being too prudish. And I'm sorry, there's something that has to go back to being civil and beautiful and lovely. So much so that we will desire a person because we want to be married to them. If we're doing all the, like you said, the swag bag things before we're married, why in the world get married?
Yeah, it's like, what's the point? If you get all of this, everything else before, like, why do you want marriage? And I wonder if a lot of people wrestle with that, but they don't know how to put it into thoughts. Maybe our podcast will answer. I'll give this podcast episode.
Well, I think this is something, and I would love for you to ask your friends Mariah and Thomas.
We love Mariah and Thomas.
Yeah, we do. But ask them the questions. Maybe we can have a phone in with them about marriage.
We should call them now.
Yeah, phone home.
Hey, we have you live.
But or maybe Mariah, since she is a female, and talk to her about it because.
Ooh, they would be fun.
They would be fun. But more than then, they were very intentional. And I think that is what's missing in a committed relationship is an intention.
Yeah.
If the highest standard you have is what?
Well, something that bothered me about the last interaction I had, again, simultaneous conflicting thoughts, because I'm like, this is a good person. Like, if this person were a friend, I would enjoy the conversations we had. I don't see them as a toxic, perverted type of person. Yeah. However, something that really put that gut catch in my spirit was this whole time I'm thinking, this is making me feel like I'm supposed to be like a walking vibrator, essentially. I'm sorry, but in my head I'm thinking, so if I'm not open to trying all of these things, and if all of these different scenarios are brought up, which again, like I get it, physical touch it's a love language for guys. I think, again, it's normal. I don't think touch is inherently wrong, like the desire for closeness, right? But in my head, I'm thinking, why am I feeling like almost not a blame shift towards myself? Because again, it was more us giving our individual opinions. Right. It wasn't anything cast on me that something was wrong with me. In fact, he said he respected a lot of my views, but it was said, I couldn't long-term, the rigidity of that, like, not sleeping in the same bed, not being able to
in your committed relationship.
In the committed relationship. Yeah, and within a month, I couldn't go that long. They said, because it would make it start to feel too platonic, in which case, again, when I sent them a voice memo back just saying, well, here's my worldview, let's actually not meet up this weekend. Because they had planned to actually come up for the weekend. Yeah, like drive from out of state, and it's
but you said
not
something.
So much.
You said worldview.
Yeah. Yeah,
there
it's important
is a
to share
Christian worldview. If he has Christian on there, maybe, he should be following that worldview. And I think there's something wrong with the Christian worldview if that's what he thinks.
Do you think that a lot of guys, and I shouldn't just say guys, but I'm speaking to the dating scene, this people, they want kind of one foot in Christianity, one foot out, just like with dating. So it's like they want the perks of God. And
so
it's hard too, because some are new believers. So it's like some of this stuff is like actually like a new concept.
Well, then I think you should wait.
That's what I'm learning.
Yeah,
but I don't think I'm like some superior, holier person.
But the deal is, if your worldview is Christian, you have no choice but to operate under there. Not only that, and it's not just for you not to have fun. It's because God knows what's best for you in the long run.
Well, I started to feel like guilty too talking to them. And like you said too, I'm like, I told someone, I said, I feel like if I were to get married, I would need a sex therapist. And they said, no, you don't. You have the right way of thinking. But it's like, our culture really is inundated with this skewed view of it, where it's like everything is really backwards. And we wonder why we have so much emotional damage, you know, and these repercussions from breakups, from divorce, from, you know, I mean, again, if you've already been married, maybe that paints differently than just a relationship, or all these like mental health issues. And it's like the whole timeline is completely warped, you know, like family isn't the family anymore. We have gender confusion. We have different terms of what we see marriage as. Like, can it be two women? Can it be two men? Is it one man and one woman? And so it's just like we live in a confused culture. And then on top of that, you know, I think, I don't know. There's a lot of confusion with men and women. Because again, I don't want to make it sound like this episode is purely targeted to dismantle men. Because I know so many absolutely incredible men who have such an intentional pursuit of their wives and empathy. And here's what there are several friends would echo these thoughts. Like, if they don't want to do something, or they're uncomfortable with something, or if they're not in the mood to even have sex with their partner, their husband respects that, you know? And in this situation, I'm thinking, so the woman is supposed to do all of these things, or, you know, maybe it's not a checklist of, you know, we share a bed and then we shower together. And then, you know, I walk around disrobed and I get painted like the women in the 1800s with grapes in their mouths, you know, and hang it on above the mantle. I don't know. It just feels like this weird, very skewed checklist of things, almost, where it doesn't feel like a woman's personal autonomy being respected. Because I get that, yes, when you're married, you're one flesh, but it's not on the one extreme that you submit to your husband and you're like their slave and give them everything they want. It's also not that.
It's a relationship.
Yeah,
it's just like the way back and forth we have with the Lord. But I think the thing is, though, it seems in a way that you're back to missionary dating. And I'm really thinking, is Hinge really working for you? Is Hinge really doing this? I'm not like
a serial hinger.
No, I know
very
that.
few people I like.
No, but I'm just saying, I don't know if you know, if you can't distinguish, if they say Christian and committed relationship, if there's a place for Christian and only marriage.
But see, I don't think it's just Hinge either. I think this is men completely outside of dating apps.
Yeah, I think
Hinge gives you the options, and it's like something about seeing it all like
you
typed out in their resume.
More. Yeah, you know? Probably see more than
but it's kind of like a job description in some ways. You type out your resume, it's going to be expected you have these skills and experience and things. So it's like if you're putting these things online in the digital world, but it's also very much in the just, again, organic face-to-face communications you have with people. And it's women too, you know, women also supposedly want quality men. And then again, you know, go to their Instagram pages, go to their stories, look at
what their clothing layers are.
I'm not talking like spaghetti straps, you know, or like
if you're showing
new
cleave,
shorts, anything like that. But
I don't know. I think the problem is so much bigger than the dating app, but I don't think the dating apps are helping. Yeah. And the problem is, you know, I don't think the matchmakers happen, as we talked in the last episode about the sexual. Like, seriously, we're going to plunk down $250,000.
This is the matchmaker.
Yeah, the matchmaker. Oh my gosh. $250,000.
That's like a good salary.
For 3 matches. That means 3.
What kind of matchmaker is this?
I have no idea.
They're Christian matchmaker?
But they apparently is really thorough and da-da-da-da.
Wait. Is this the Christian matchmaker?
No, there was no Christian.
Oh,
but they can you would have to have it in your values.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So there wasn't.
I was going to say $250K in Christian matchmaker just don't seem
If you're
right
a Christian matchmaker out there, please contact us.
If you charge less than $250,000 for 3 matches.
Seriously. But I don't know. You know, the problem is I don't know, other than straight up, the Lord brings you somebody when you're ready.
Well,
And
my
even
question
then,
isn't how to find a guy. I'm not in this distress mode of I have to have a guy, because I love my pursuits and things, but it's just when you meet someone, whether it's online, because for me it's this thought process of, well, it's worked out for other people. I'll see if there's some kindred spirits out there. Again, with intentional dating, with the end result being a life partner, right?
Yeah.
But also, being open and just meeting people face to face. But
So I guess what it is.
yeah, but I'm coming unhinged soon.
You're coming unhinged.
Yeah,
Okay, so the deal is really the question I have for you is there any way, because it is lonely being single out there, is there any way?
But it's really not lonely being single.
No, it isn't. I have.
Oh, I thought you were saying it's lonely being single.
No.
I'm like, no, actually, I feel good.
No, but I'm asking, is there any way that your relationship meters could be filled up with the friends that you have?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then you can wait to see where that goes. And I mean, you have I am so happy. I have the best female friends. They're wonderful. I don't hang out with any men because, one, none of them are single, and two, I just haven't met any man to hang out with. And if I did, I would really have to consider where we're going to go with this, because sometimes it just goes all funky. So I'm just going to say, is there a way? Are you fulfilled as a single?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And see, that's the thing. Like, I don't see anything wrong with apps. Actually, like I think it's important to have a life outside of your significant other or your spouse. Because I even know married people who like don't have a life outside of their spouse, and I think that's really unhealthy. So that's actually something I brought up to the guy though when he was asking about my sexual worldview, and I was like, sex is not the be all end all either. Like. I'm like, have you been for a hike, for a run? Yeah. Have you gone on a road trip?
23 hours out of the...
Can we just be... You don't have to have some sexually stimulating experience to... the return on investment in the sexual arena, I'm just trying to say.
Well, it's a good ROI, but I will tell you
I'm sorry, did I use too blunt of words?
No, you did not. The thing is, I think the point is very valid.
So yes, I'll interject. I personally feel fulfilled, but also, I'm curious, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because I know my intentions.
You're curious for what?
Oh, the types of men who are on Hinge. Yeah. So I'm therefore open to creating it, so it's not out of a place of, oh, it's just a void, I need someone. It has been before, like in years past. Right. So I'm not saying I've always used it intentionally, but usually I end up deleting it pretty quickly after my year's cycle.
Yeah. Why do you
of not using it? Because I just don't. After so many people and conversations, it gets really old. It feels repetitive. Yeah. It's boring. And I don't say that in a way of like I just need to be entertained, but if you're just digitally talking to someone for days, you're not meeting up in person, or you do meet up in person, but then it's like different meeting their real life version versus digital version. So yeah.
Okay.
The end.
So, but I think it's really good. But in the end, where do you think, as we've talked about this, where do you think you're going? What do you think anything has changed in the way that you feel? Because I don't like the idea that all of a sudden you took on, rejecting yourself when his worldview obviously wasn't yours. So, where do you think you would go with all this?
It actually has caused me to look deeper into what I believe in, why, to be honest, even with that interaction, because I did feel a sense of guilt. But I think where I can objectively say I've changed from the missionary dating aspect, as I called the situation off, and was able to look at it from an objective view that, these are actually unreasonable requests of somebody, and not just taking it on like, oh no, I have this horrible guilt I'm carrying, because in years past, I would find some way to rationalize it, to make it work. Hence why I was so open to dating like agnostic men too, who were like spiritually seeking, you know? And I think this time it's actually caused me to reflect more on my morals, my values, why I love a biblical moral compass too. And I know a lot of people would peg that as like, oh, purity culture, but I'm like,
who cares?
Yeah, at this point,
who cares?
At this point, I'm like, again, your labs, you know, like on a clinical level, don't
really
seem to indicate
we have to start an app.
the perks of free sex, you know? I just finished reading that book, Subverted, that you gave me, and it was just reading about the whole free sex movement, and I'm like, yeah, we're kind of still in that today in our culture. It's
but it
dominating,
hasn't done one single thing for us.
Yeah, to spread STDs and, you know.
I mean, we're talking multiple families,
passivity.
multiple fathers. I mean, it hasn't worked out. I mean, you see the ramifications of what happened in the 60s now, and it is exploded, and it is absolutely, totally the breakdown of the family. So, but what do you think you will do in response? Like, did we tackle what you were thinking that we needed to tackle for your SAP?
Oh, for me it was like venting my
hotline.
stream of consciousness, and just the question, why do men and women, I'll just say men, just people, desire supposedly a spouse, but they want everything before, and almost like kind of want this 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Because they're not following the Lord's plan.
Yeah.
I mean, it's simple as that. And I think people are afraid of commitment.
I think so too. Why let me ask you this question. Why are people afraid of commitment,
because
do you think?
we are a scroll society. That's the one thing I told you about
like the grass is always greener.
The Christian thing that I picked up right away.
Your smoke and fire analogy or dream from last week.
Yeah, it's just the scroll. There's something better. There's something better. There's something better.
Yeah.
Or you know, if I'm just going to do one more. I'm just going to do one more. I'm notorious for that. Watching more and more reel on. I watch really great apologetics on YouTube.
The addiction to people or scrolling,
or information. In my part, like you never know when you might need to.
Almost like FOMO, like fear of missing out.
Yeah. And so I think the deal is, I do think there's a big element of FOMO in relationships, and we better get our heads on straight, because in the end, if you are in a place where a woman loves you or a man loves you, it's not going to be better. It's not going to be better. You are going to screw up. You're going to ruin your life. And for that minute, not that you can't rebound, but it will take you decades to do this. And the deal is, you're going to carry all this with you into whatever relationship you are in. And so it's a cautionary tale of infidelity. Don't do it. And I will say, because the hearts that it breaks is horrible. I'm still trying to work through, and my counselor's like that. Like, just, I had that dream. Like, I'm always secondhand. The thing is, we're not. And so I don't know, Anna Gray. I think we need to wake up as a society.
I think you hit the nail on the head, though, with the fear of like commitment, because that's something I've thought about, but with locations, right? Because I joke that I commit well to people, but not places. Because with places, that's my exact thought process. I'm like, but what if I were to plant roots here? What if there's something else? What if I'm missing out? But I think to a human soulful level, that is so toxic. I'm not talking about moving, though geographically that can be toxic too. And I've realized this within myself.
Well, I think we can look for any escape.
Well, I think it's sacrifice. There's a level of sacrifice either way. Because on the one hand, you have the sacrifice of having autonomy and individualized freedom. And on the other, you have the commitment to a person or the potential family.
Well, and it's scary. It's scary being, a provider. A man has to be scared to be a provider. A woman has to be scared that, it is scary. Are we going to make the bills this month? All the things.
Or like raising kids. If you have kids, like, oh my gosh, do I want to give up all of these pursuits? Like,
Yeah. So, I think there's a lot of fears there, but that doesn't mean that the sad thing about it, if you're in a loving, committed relationship with your life partner, doesn't mean you don't have those too. You know, and it's, you know, it's just a disaster. But if you have a commitment, you know that you have lines that you do not cross, you should not cross. And if you cross them, there's substantial danger there in so many ways. Loss, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. You know, you're going to lose the love of your wife, the consistency of your wife, the respect of your children, all these things. And that happens in life partnerships too. But
so you're speaking to like infidelity within,
or just
the grass is greener mindset.
But that's the whole level behind commitment. You know, and
it's like you're choosing somebody over all the thousands of other options that could have been suitable for you, but you're choosing to focus your time and energy and life commitment a la marriage.
Well, and a lot of people have talked about. I just heard recently Frank Turek, and I'm so glad he brought this up. He said, "I'm going to burst your bubble." There's not just one person in this world who will make a great husband or wife for you.
Like finding the soulmate fantasy.
Yeah, so therefore you need to keep divorcing until you find that one. I think the deal is I remember Pastor Dan saying this to me, once you are married, that is your one, and you are committed, and that is, you are married. He said, he didn't say it just to me, he said it to the whole church. It's like, you are married. If you've made that commitment, you're married. That is your one person. You're committed. That's who you're committed to. And you do everything you can. You know, and I don't know.
And obviously within that, like, we're not, of course, adding in like abusive marriages, but like otherwise, marriages where you're going to have hardships.
Exceptions, but I'm talking about the rule. And that's the problem, is we don't live by the rule.
Why? Do you think there's that sense of rebellion?
Well, yes, of course, it's sin. And so it is, and I don't say that, I'm not saying that, and I didn't mean that to come off snarky. It's just, you know, we want what we want when we want it. Yeah. And we need to recognize it.
Self-gratification over an art of self-control, and just like the appreciation of time and effort in something, you know, because it's almost like there's this beautiful feeling when you work really, really, really hard for something, and then you reap the fruits of it, even when it's the messy, dirty work going in. I think relationships and marriage are the same way. I'm not married, so I can't speak for marriage, but, you know.
But we have talked about before.
Relationships.
But we have talked about before, one of the most beautiful things we can see is an old couple walking hand in hand.
Yeah.
You know, and the deal is, they didn't get there. They could have gotten married in the nursing facility or whatever, but they've gotten there through years and years of ups and downs, unknowns, you know, hardships, maybe temptations even, but they've stayed the course. There is a man at the facility that Leila and I visit for a relative of ours, and he willingly, she has obviously some dementia or Alzheimer's. I can't even say it. And he willingly moved in there with her and stays on the men's side. They can't have the room together. Oh,
so like he's in healthy condition.
He's in healthy, and he can come and go. But he lives over there. We'll walk by, every time we walk by the room, he's there, he's reading. You know, they're in their later years, so they're in their...
He still sacrifices.
Yeah, and he spends quality time with his sweet bride who sleeps, you know, probably 20 hours a day, maybe more. I mean, these are the stories that I think what we need to do is have a long-range view of what do we want to accomplish here? Yeah. How do we want to live our lives? How do we want our kids to see us? How do we want to be seen? And I'm not talking for our glory, but for God's glory. How do we want to represent Christ? Because he's the one who invented marriage. And I don't think we're doing a great job of that. Not all of us. There's some really shining examples, and we make much of them. So I don't know. I don't know what to say to you except for it is a hard road. I think people need to redefine what they mean.
I think knowing what you believe in, why to, even if you're in a process of that, but like you said, actually, like, what is your worldview?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think that's what I would
Because you really
start
can go
with.
nowhere. Because if they,
Yeah.
you know, yes, there's people who have marriages where they have separate religious views, but oh my gosh, when you come to like really big decisions, but not even just that, just I think in so many ways, it's just it's not sustainable, you know, long term. I think a lot of people think they know what they want, or like it sounds good on paper, but then to actually do it and take the actions of it and feel like the discomfort of it. Same with waiting for things too. We don't like to wait.
Yeah, I know. I think
so-
the deal is maybe the place you start is your worldview.
Yeah.
And then at that point, it's either yay or nay.
So we want everyone to deconstruct and reconstruct now, like in 24 hours.
Well, no,
time.
and I'm not even saying deconstruct. I think people need to reconstruct.
Yeah,
I think
that's what I mean.
Yeah, I think they need to figure it out. And then I think in a way that's what they're trying to learn, but I don't think you're going to learn. You're not going to.
You don't learn it by testing out people.
No,
Sometimes I think having time to you, or like between you and God, and allowing even the discomfort of, you know, space without a person. And I've been there, you know, and I don't think there's anything wrong, again, with opening yourself up to the dating scene or putting yourself out there. But
Well, the one question
you
I would
know.
ask, oh my goodness, this is her second book.
This is the mutt
The one thing I would ask is how is the dating app? Is the dating app different from going, and you don't have to answer these now, going differently than a coffee shop? How is it really working for you, or is it creating more? Like you said, it gave you a definition, which I found out doing the profile was enough for me on this one Christian app, and I thought it was very good because it made me realize. But at this time, is it doing anything really for you? Are you walking away from these conversations?
It's more the people. Yeah, it's like, for me, it's not about the app than it is, I think, just the overarching.
Well, I meant the construct of it.
Yeah.
The construct of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I don't. It's kind of like as technology progresses, that kind of is tag teamed with it, and it's something I'm still trying to figure out myself. Because I know people who have had thriving relationships from
I do too.
apps, but I see them at that point now with it where I'm like, oh, I think this really isn't for me for the fourth time. But
I don't know. I think with
But the moral, I guess, of all of this is have a worldview, stick to your values.
Yeah.
And
I think we need to be careful letting the culture define the terms for us, and I think that's really it.
Yeah.
Because like if they're using life commitment and all this, I mean life partner or committed relationship, meaning I'm going to take a shower with you in a month. I think that's it. And so, I mean, I don't know, the moral of the story is it hasn't gotten any easier meeting people. You know, matchmaking may have been a nice thing way back when. But I don't have anything but that.
well, I'm not out. My question really isn't like, how do I get a man? I'm like,
Well, no. I mean, do you feel like we addressed your
pretty to
another moral tea?